Starting stream a little bit early. Um, Going to do a quick run through of our session notes. See if I can give a decent summary of the campaign so far, and hopefully this will help clear up any confusion because I know we've been doing jumping in from session 50. I'm sure hasn't been exactly the most straightforward thing ever. So yeah, let's begin. Um, so starting from session one, the party layout was actually a little bit different than what we have currently. Um, we had our leader, I guess, air quotes, Cassian Gavos. Cassian was a half drow rogue. He was. We don't know too much about his backstory, but he definitely partook in the mercenary life before um, coming back to the dynasty, I guess. Um, Definitely a money talks kind of guy. Did not did not have any loyalties to anyone except those who paid him. So, and when asked about who would be our party leader, no one wanted to accept, so he took it, which kind of messed things up for us later on, but we'll get to that eventually. Um, we also had Marcus Roadrunner, a human. This is where all of our sci-fi stuff comes in. He is a homebrew Star Wars class, which is basically a paladin sorcerer multi-class. Um, we also did not know too many details about his force powers, but he started out as a Jedi apprentice and left that, and then turned to the dark side, and then also became disillusioned with that, and turned to mercenary work, and eventually joined our party. We then have Evelyn Blackmeyer, who everyone should know, human gunslinger. Yeah, she did not multi-class into artificer until later. Um, she is former Empire military, who, on brand with everyone else so far, um, left the left the Empire and decided to work for the dynasty for a little bit to try and earn money for her family, who are hiding out in the coast. Um, and then lastly, we have Idra without a last name. Idra, a Yuan Ti. He was also a paladin sorcerer multiclass. Um, he unfortunately did not live long enough to reveal um, most or any, I guess, of his backstory. But he was forced out of the empire when the empire expanded and took over most of its land, and he fled to the dynasty, which took him in. And he was on a revenge path. He wanted to wreak havoc in the empire, and thought that the best way to do that was working for the dynasty as a mercenary. And so this motley crew of players joins together, and we are given our very first mission from from a General Milana Olios. who has told us to basically start the war between the dynasty and the empire. We are tasked with assaulting the Ashgard garrison, an outpost on the border, and we are to find and capture or kill General Talinel Ellen of the Righteous Brand. He is either to be assassinated or brought back as prisoner. He also had two bodyguards of notes, which were expendable, and we were um, told of a sewer system that would lead into the depths of the fort and sent on our way. Um, we do some obligatory sewer diving, beat up some guards, make our way into the prison, and um, basically instilled a riot. We unlocked or released a bunch of prisoners, armed them with whatever spare weapons we had from our starting items, and told them to go have fun, basically. Um, our um, main goal, I guess, was to open the gates, and so we split the party. Um, and session two begins with us. Um, Session two begins with some combat outside the guard tower while uh, we enter the. No, that's right. Um, or am I getting this mixed up with our old campaign? Um, at any rate, we do open the gates to the garrison, and the army begins flooding through. We figure out where the general is and dash over to him. He's of course at the top floor, accompanied by his bodyguards. We do manage to beat him up, but of course someone escapes. Um, he has two bodyguards, a monk and a wizard. The monk flies off on a floating broom. This is going to be a recurring theme among many of our battles. We have difficulty keeping our enemies from escaping, but we managed to subdue the general and take him in for as prisoner. We make our way out of the garrison, head over to the general, report the completion of our mission, and hand over the Righteous Brand general for interrogation. We get paid and are informed that our next job is in Hopperduke. There we have a contact to rescue, one Ymira Olios, a spy who has gone dark. Um, and our other objective is that apparently news comes from Hopperduke that they are creating a bunch of mechanical slash magical soldiers to deploy on the battlefield, and we are to um, find out what we can and hopefully um, stop their progress. So we prepare, head out, And on the way to Hupperduke, we take part in a little side quest. Nothing too important, no stuff. We find a family whose trader human whose wife and kids got kidnapped by a group of gnolls. So we go stalk the gnolls, head over to their base, um, defeat the gnoll leader, rescue the family, get some loot, and continue on our way. As we are traveling, we get our first taste of the technology that Hupperduke is creating. We pass a tank just going down the road, um, and work on our ninja skills, sneaking into town, climbing up the side of the wall. We find one of Cassian's contacts who helps us, gives us information. There is uh, there are a couple locations of interest. Magical soldiers being tested, war machines. There is also a armor vault, which is built into the mountain that holds a ton of their information and weapons. Um, and apparently, a lot of people have gone missing or have been arrested with less than concrete evidence for their arrest. We do some scouting. We see some giant, magically powered golems doing patrol. Um, our we decide to go for the spy slash captured person that we are supposed to rescue first. And we once again head into the sewers, make our way into the prison, kill some guards, disguise ourselves as prison guards, and we do find the person we are supposed to be rescuing. We discover that um, how they are powering their magical soldiers is they are actually taking the prisoners and extracting their souls, putting them into crystals, and then using those crystals to power all of their magitech. Um, but among the loot that we find at the prison are two elemental swords for Cassian, which will be a source of a lot of headaches later on. Um, we use the sewers to head out, and we get to a safe house. Um, Ymira tells us about the soul crystals, and the head inventor, Magnus Thorobon, who is holed up in the armor vault. Um, so our next point of plan is to see if we can figure out what's controlling all of these soldiers, if we can shut them down, and hopefully capture or kill Thorobon. We get into um, we sneak into his house, I believe. And yes, this is where we have our first death. There is a magical carpet in Thorobon's room, which assaults us, and unfortunately, Idra dies to this rug. It's one of those things that grapples you, and any damage dealt to the rug while grappling someone is also dealt to the person being grappled. So he died a very quick and painful death, smothered. Rip Idra. Um, But after that, we find a teleportation circle within the master bedroom that leads into the armor vault. And it's here that we run into Thorobon. He is also being uh, accompanied by a large beast, which we discover to be a crystal-powered dragon, which we end up fighting and defeating. Um, Surprisingly enough, as we defeat the dragon and destroy the crystal in his chest, all of these mechanical parts that are covering him, his like armor and this mechanical leg, they all fall away, and the dragon seems very confused. We manage to befriend it, and it helps us uh, escape the armor vault. We find a large central crystal as we are flying away that seems to control everything, and so we destroy that, and all of the soldiers power down. The dragon flies us all the way back home, back to the garrison, technically. We find out that his name is Adelon, and he was injured previously. Um, so his lair got taken over by another dragon, and he had been injured in the fight, lost a leg, and he was trying to basically recover, and he had stumbled upon Thorobon. Thorobon claimed that he could help, but in doing so, he ended up controlling him using the crystal. Um, Adelon appeals to us for help in taking back his lair, and we agree, although not right away. He accepts and says he's willing to wait. He does need time to heal anyway, and fix his leg. So he gets us back to the garrison, and our next mission is on to Zadash. This takes much influence from that one episode of Critical Role. We are to attack the tower, whose name is in here probably in the next section. But we are to find the one of the infamous beacons, retrieve it, and bring it back to the dynasty. So we are paid and sent on our way. As we travel to Zadash, we are ambushed by Lorenzo and the Iron Shepherds. We manage to defeat his entire gang, everyone except for him. He, of course, transforms and gets away, swearing revenge on us for defeating his crew. We did capture his barbarian and tried to keep her for questioning, but she didn't really give us too much information. We make it to Zadash, do a little reconnaissance. We encounter the gentleman. Oh yes, we were not exactly the most. We didn't ask particularly too much details about what we were, who our contact was, and how we were supposed to find them. So we just um, found the gentleman and was like, "Hey, we're looking for someone who's supposed to be here." Um, so that was interesting. Um, he took our blood, which was fun, and then we met our. Uh, oh yeah. Since before heading to Zadash, since Idra had died, We then are introduced to Rux, um, Goblin Blood Hunter, who is uh, joins the party as Idra's replacement. He basically worked in the Empire for a while. Did a bunch of. He was a like part of a group of con artists who did jobs for the Myriad, but was betrayed by the Myriad and ended up turning into a blood hunter during the betrayal. So his group got scattered, and he fled to the dynasty to recover and gather funds to try and make his way back into the empire and um, rescue all of his former teammates. So the party is now Cassian, Marcus, Rux, and Evelyn. Um, but as we are discussing things with the gentleman, we finally get news of our contact in Zadash. We meet Petra, um, a cleric of Torog at the moment, at this point in time, I believe. And she is accompanied by Liana Thalis, um, Drow. She is there working together, gathering. I believe they were gathering information on the beacon at the time. And they inform us that yes, the Zalber Spire is where we are going to find the beacon, um, which is at the Solstice Academy, which is a giant wizard school in the rich district of Zadash. Um, Liana tells us that an attack is going to happen on Zadash at some point in the future, and that is an opportunity that we can use to sneak in and steal the beacon, using that as a distraction. The gentleman also offers us a job. Um, yes, Liana with a Y. There is another Liana that will be introduced later, but this is Liana Thalis, the Drow. Um, but the gentleman offers a job for Lyndhurst. Apparently, a bunch of his supplies have um, supply house has lost contact. There's this creepy fog. Wants us to go investigating. Um, and as we are going shopping, preparing for stuff, um, we hear about a tournament in the Victory Pits, and they're looking for groups to join this fighting tournament. And Marcus, without asking anyone else in the party, signs us up. And he enters us as the under the name the Fantastic Five, and the party is born. As for this, we do a bit of scouting in the Rich District to see what we can find out about the tower before setting off to do the gentleman job. Um, and as we leave town, we are assaulted by some Jedi. It appears that the Jedi are hunting down Marcus, trying to get him to come back. Um, so we fight a bunch of monks and droids with lightsabers and blaster pistols. Um, quite exciting. And then we make it to Lyndhurst, and here things are pretty creepy. Town is super empty. There's this fog going around, and we suddenly discover that there are undead everywhere. Um, we're chased around by a mob of zombies and ushered away by a half-elf, Sella, who takes us to a safe house. She is a Crown's Guard who is sent to the town to investigate things from Zadash. Um, she has some news for us of this mysterious woman who came to town, and not long after she arrived, the fog showed up and people started dying. Um, we also meet Balthazar, a halfling monk of Cord. Um, we share some information, try and figure out what's going on. Sela informs us that there could possibly be a cult of Orcus doing deeds in town. We head over to the place where we think that where we last saw that mysterious woman, and we discover that it is a vampire who has basically vamped the entire city. We end up fighting her and a whole bunch of zombies. It appears that this vampire and Balthazar seem to have some history. Um, this is not something that the party knows, but this vampire is one of the PCs from our previous campaign, as well as Balthazar. A couple fan service integrations from an old campaign that we TPK'd in. Um, but yes, we fight off Morgan, discover some portals in the building that she was nearby, and that is where all of these zombies seem to be coming from. We dispel the portal, and the fog seems to lift, and the town seems to go back to normal. We head back to Zadash. Marcus tells us a little bit about the Jedi. They are a group of monks. They're like a subset of the Cobalt Soul, but he doesn't really give us too much information. And then as we get back to Zadash, we have to deal with the tournament. We meet the Iron Fist, which is another group of mercenaries, not unlike ourselves. They have Kayla, a cleric of the Wild Mother. Leon, who is I believe he was a fighter. And who else? They had a half orc named Korvac, and Lisa, who was, I don't remember what her class was, but um, she fought with a crossbow. These characters will all be very important later on. There was also a group of Righteous Brand soldiers, and then another silly little group of mercenaries. Um, we So we fight in a couple rounds of the tournaments. We fight some monsters, and then um, like a gladiator dude. Um, it does turn out some super important people are watching this tournament, including a couple archmages from the Cerberus Assembly. Archmage of Cultivation. I don't have his name. Cultivation. Ormid? Ormid Haas. And then Trent Ikathon, Archmage of Civil Influence. So we try our hardest to stay on the down low during this fight. Um, Automod holding your holding your message. Um, but we managed to make it through the first couple rounds, and the final round we end up fighting against the Iron Fist. Um, it's during this time that Rux recognizes that Korvac is in fact actually Mogul, his half-orc friend from his previous group, someone who he had gotten separated from while escaping the Empire. It turns out he has also been turned into a blood hunter and has some creepy, glowing red jewel necklace on. He doesn't seem to recognize Rux at all. We do end up winning the tournaments and gather a lot of attention to ourselves. During the after party, we make some small talk, try to discover things about people, but don't really learn too much. Um, Marcus develops a small crush on Kayla, and that becomes a somewhat interesting long distance relationship for the remainder of the campaign. Leon is totally a bro. Petra finds some myriad guy who she fails terribly multiple times in trying to recognize him. Evelyn is headhunted by multiple people of high importance to be hired by the Empire, but she refuses every single time. Um, and that night, those swords from Hupperduke that Cassian found, Cassian starts to multi-class into Warlock at this point, and the patrons locked within the swords begin to commune with him, uh, to which he agrees to. Um, and then we plan our uh, assault on the tower. Um, oh yes, we do a little bit of research first. Um, Rux and Cassian both are looking into things, and Cassian does not want Rux tagging along, but he tags along anyway. Cassian's looking into stuff about these swords to see if he knows anything. Rux doing research on literally everyone in the party because we haven't exactly gotten to trust each other quite yet. So he looks into guns because Evelyn using guns is a unique thing. Blood magic because he has no idea what he is. Um, he looks up Torog because betrayer god and all that jazz. And then he also looks up Jedi, trying to figure out things about Marcus. Um, Cassian learns about his patrons. One being the fire one being Nidhogg, um, a fire beast, and the ice one being Arathator. Um, they are ancient primordial beings created by the betrayer gods to help the war. He does not seem uh, too phased by this. Um, so there's going to be a huge party at the wizard school that the tower is at, and so we prepare to disguise ourselves to get in. Oh no no no! This is a party for the tournament participants. Um, and we go there for just to gather info, I guess. Um, yes. Petra and Marcus do not disguise themselves, and Petra is approached by Mr. Trent Ickathon himself. Um, so that was great. Evelyn embraces her role as party mom and uh, lectures them on not disguising themselves. Um, we find okay, so here we try and figure out how we're going to get into the tower. We third time's the charm. We go for the sewers again. We find a locked sewer entrance. Um, and we figure that that'll be our best way in. So we get a room at an inn in the rich district. Which is great. And we will head to the sewers from there. We are contacted by a drow who will be spearheading the attack. Theron of Den Charlie's, as we have so lovingly headcanoned him. Um, let's see. We disguise ourselves and head off to this little party through the sewers, make our way past the guards. Unfortunately, have to murder two students who try to sneak away to make out by the bush that we just happened to use to sneak into school. Um, the school is pretty empty considering the party is happening. Um, but we make our way up multiple floors, have to find key cards to get in. There is a floor with griffins. We have to fight the griffin trainer. Um, and we get into the large room at the top of the spire. It is here that we find a bunch of elemental paintings which suck us in, and we have to basically they're all like independent locks that are um, holding the beacon, and we have to convince them all to give them our part of their key, which we eventually do, and we take the beacon. And as we get the beacon, the drow attack happens. The tower begins to collapse. We have war flashbacks to this. there's a as we do a search of the room, there is a carpet that is giving off a magical glow. And thinking back to the rug that attacked and killed Idra, we immediately dispel it. But that is in fact, a magic carpet that was put there in order to help us escape. But it ended up becoming just a regular carpet. So we had to make our way back down and try and tame a griffin and use that um, to get out of the tower, which we are barely able to do. We run into Sella and Balthazar, who are working guard duty at the party, but manage to escape. And then we grab all of our stuff and head to the gentleman's hideouts in order to get Liana to teleport us back to the dynasty. And unfortunately, we get followed. So the as the gentleman's hideout is being raided by Righteous Brand, we teleport away with all of our stuff. Um, so we make it back to. We were actually teleported straight to the castle. or I guess, yeah, castle. Um, and we are introduced to the Bright Queen, um, and her court of people. She is confused at the large amount of humans in our party, but we hand over the beacon, and she is pleased enough to gift us a house. And so we make our home in Rasona. Um, let's see. We explore the house. Cassian intensifies his bond with his um, patrons. Petra has a vision from Torog, who gives her a centipede um, familiar. We receive our payment from the queen, and the humans get pendants to justify their being in the dynasty. We go shopping. And we are given a butler by was it the queen who gave us Clarence, or was it Liana? I'm not quite sure, but we are an elderly male elf by the name of Clarence is provided to us. Um, let's see, we do some research. We try. I think it is at this point that we. Ah, okay. So we do some research on dragons, and we do some research on Orcus. Cassian gets bored and goes to a fight club, and he runs into an old friend um, named Torim. He is a half orc, I believe. Mm, but he bets a whole bunch of money on himself in the fight club, and yes, Torim Thunderfist, a green orc with a bear tattoo. Um, he bets a whole bunch of money on himself, loses the 1v1, and then he gets knocked out, and Torim steals a whole bunch of his gold. So he tries to find Torim, um, and he ends up going to a sorcerer by the name of Vezdar. Vezdar happens to be one of Rux's friends, also another former team uh, party member. He was the one who helped Rux escape and got him into the dynasty. Vestar tells him about the village, I think, and let's see. Petra has a dream about a Torog temple. Liana gives us a teleport stone that allows us to teleport back to our house in Rasona once a week for free. But she also starts getting some Luxon flash dreams or visions where she gets some multiple timeline stuff. Um, we decide to head over to the Ghostlands. Um, trying to remember exactly what our motivation was for going to the Ghostlands. Oh, there because we got news of cultists that were messing around a old abandoned temple of Torog there. Yes. So we head over to the Ghostlands. We get attacked by a bunch of ghosts because the Ghostlands, and also some spider things, I think. Um, Also basilisks. Cassian gets petrified, and we can't unpetrify him until the next day because Petra doesn't have greater restoration prepared. That was great. He also gets his pants stolen at some point while we were long resting overnight, which was also great. Um, so before we get to the temple, good lord, it is. We have 15 minutes until the session starts, and I'm only at session 17. This is not going according to plan. Um, let's see.
Wait, we're on session 17.
I am yes, I am only on session 17. I've been embellishing a little bit. So, we get to so on the way to the temple, we end up arriving at the tribe that Torim stays at. Cassian tries to call him out for a 1v1. We end up getting brought in and talk to the chieftain of the tribe. Insults are thrown around, and since Cassian is very secretive and doesn't like giving us context clues for things, the party comes to the conclusion that Torim is a former lover that has left him. Um, but in reality, Cassian is just bitter because they used to work together as mercenaries, but he double crossed them at some point and stole a bunch of his money. Um, and it's at this point, after we get kicked out of the tribe, that Cassian intensifies his pact with his patrons. He offers his soul in exchange for uh, destroying the village, which is accepted, and so he loses his soul. Um, we get to the temple. Um, yes, Cassian gets his pants stolen here. We do notice a bunch of cultists at the temple. We try to sneak in using our uh, our cultist garb, um, and we do manage to uh, sneak by them. We pull the whole. This is where um, our OSHA joke starts. But at first we claim that we are new hires, and that gets us past the first group of cultists. And then once we get inside the temple, we get stopped again, and we claim that we are tourists trying to explore and go on a like a tour basically. And then after that, the next group we claim to be
That plan was like literally insane.
yes. And then the third group of cultists that we ran into, we said we were OSHA inspectors, um, making sure that the temple was up to code for worship. Um, and I'm pretty sure we got past all of the cultists.
Yeah, I think it.
Um,
It's,
or no, we had to fight the last group. OSHA didn't work, but OSHA becomes a recurring theme. We end up rescuing two groups of people within the temple. There is a group of guards from Rasona, drow guards, and then there are a group of orcs from the tribe that we were just kicked out of. There is also a human woman with them, Juna, who is a wizard. She got they so The it turns out that this tribe they patrol the ghost lands, try to keep the area safe, and um, they got captured while exploring this temple area. She had her spell book taken from her, and so she asks if we can find it and return it to her. Um, and she warns us about a vampire and some dude with a huge sword. So we head further into the temple, and we run into our favorite vampire, Morgan. She is accompanied by a human
Cleric.
cleric of Torog named Eska, and
Oh, she doesn't follow Torog. You don't know who she follows.
oh, okay. I think I assumed that she followed Torog because we found her in the Torog temple. But she's a cleric, and then there is a shadow paladin slash something undead knight. I don't know. He had a huge sword. Damien. We fought. We Morgan and Eska prepare to escape, and Damien challenges Marcus to a 1v1. They have a battle of skill, and he Marcus kind of cheats a little bit by healing, but and he barely wins. So we defeat Damien, but he claims that he will come back. Um, we take his armor and his sword was Craven Edge, right?
Yeah.
Um, so we get Craven Edge, which will be important later. Um, and Petra kind of starts this ritual that is supposed to unleash one of Torog's champions, but we get interrupted by her old court mentor, Nikolaj, um, who kind of lectures her about things, and he is disappointed. But we managed to talk our way out of it. We stop doing the ritual. Do not unleash a champion of Torog, and end up leaving the temple. Um, Rux finds the uh, spellbook of Juna, so we drop by the orc tribe on the way back, and then head home. We confront Petra about her Torog thing, and she finally explains her religious perils.
Lemma.
Dilemma, yes. She used to worship Cord, but then she swapped to Torog, um, and now is kind of still worshiping Torog, sort of. Evelyn got a workshop installed in the basement. Um, Liana comes to visit and talks with Petra. At this point, we start to gather that Liana and Petra kind of have a thing for each other. Petra kind of um, lets slip about the ritual that she was going to attempt but didn't actually attempt, and Liana tattles on her to the queen. So Petra is under house arrest. Not not house arrest, but um,
Surveillance.
yeah, surveillance, like on demand scrying, basically, because betrayer gods are a big no-no. We get invited to a dinner party, which is interesting. Um, we show up. I forget why we were invited, but we do go. Oh, it was thanks for something. It might have been thanks for the beacon. Um,
So yeah,
so we go to the dinner party. We meet Cassian's father, Malagar, who he absolutely hates. Um,
and his father is with like the head of the Aurora Watch, which is like the Kryn military.
yes. The uh,
And he saw two kids. There were two
yeah.
kids. There were two
I
kids.
just Dinah Vasoon, yeah, head of the Aurora Watch. So that would be his stepmom.
Yeah.
And apparently he has two half siblings. But yeah, Cassian has tons of unbridled anger towards his father for abandoning him as a child, because typical D&D character. And of course, the party gets assaulted. Um, a bunch of people teleport in, and they start attacking everyone. It turns out these are um, Empire assassins. Um, we
Cerberus Assembly.
Yeah, Service Assembly assassins. We almost get wrecked. Meanwhile, Marcus, who is at home because he was not feeling well, I think he was being emo about. Yes, because okay, another recurring theme. Um, Marcus continually fails his wisdom checks, wisdom saves, to resist being charmed. He got charmed super hard by Morgan during the fight at the temple. He almost killed us. I very specifically remember he crit Rux. Um,
He crit Rex and gave him a scar.
yes, so he has a scar on his chest now, thanks to Marcus. He was also so completely charmed that he proposed to Morgan, um, which was great. But since he was being moping a little bit uh, because of attacking us, that he decided to not go to the party. And while the party was being assaulted, Lisa, the crossbow girl from the Iron Fist that we encountered at the tournament, broke into our house along with one of Marcus's old friends from the Jedi, I believe,
Yeah.
Jax. They have a fight and they steal some stuff and escape. Um, Adelon comes to visit us at our house and notices that things are going down at the party. So he and Marcus come over to the dinner party. They
You
swoop
guys,
in.
they fly through the roof.
Yeah, they swoop in just in time. Adelon transforms into his dragon form. There's this like giant golem thing that is attacking us, and we are like almost dying to it. But Adelon comes in and just like slams it into the wall and keeps it preoccupied while we finish off the rest of the assassins. Um, so that's fine. Evelyn figures out that they are Cerberus Assembly assassins.
I think you guys almost killed Petra there because
Yes,
Cassian used his water
Cassian.
marble,
Yes, Cassian used
and
his
then
Dust of
Rux like
Dryness.
punched Petra.
Yes.
Oh
So
man.
Castian flooded the place, and then Rux failed his bloodlust save, so he had to attack the closest thing, which was Petra at the time. Petra went down and was drowning, but it ended up being fine because Adelon came in. Um, let's see. Castian has dreams. He makes a deal with Ice Patron to like lock his dad up in eternal suffering. Petra has dreams about Torog. Not about Torog. These are Luxon dreams. So she has dreams of different possibilities where the queen doesn't let her go because of the Torog thing, or where she has to like fight her way out of the dynasty. Um, After this, some downtime. Rux and Petra bond over their hatred of the Myriad. Um, Marcus takes Craven Edge because we identify it and nothing seems wrong. So it's all good. Evelyn starts to multi-class into Artificer. Um, doo -doo -doo -doo. Skipping some of this. Petra. Ah, yes. So now, so we get thanked for our help at the dinner party, but also there are zombies showing up outside of town. So a whole bunch of citizens from the outskirts of town are being uh, evacuated to Inner Risona because there are zombies everywhere. So we head over to investigate because zombies are kind of our sworn enemy now. We're assuming that we're going to run into vampires. There's a cave with a whole bunch of zombies. We get helped by some dude, some random drow that shows up and is like, hey, let me help you. It turns out he's actually a human. Matt. Is Matt a vampire? Do we. Could we tell?
You don't know. I don't
Um,
think you guys don't know.
he was disguised as a drow. Um, Evelyn recognizes him as being the right hand man of someone from the Cerberus Assembly. I think of Trent.
No.
It's the next one. Ludinus. Yes.
Yes.
But we fight our way to the center of the cave. There's another portal there spawning a bunch of zombies. We break the portal, and we encounter a Galvic that asks us for help. Um, Apparently, some things are in there that are stealing his stuff. And there are some metal people. And so we assume that he's talking about droids. And so we go in to help him. We find a giant ship underground. Um, we run
Guys fight
into.
Sith Lord.
Yes. We run into some of the orcs from the Ghostlands who are also exploring in the caves. Rux finally realizes that they are blood hunters. Um, and we, Cassian insults them a bunch, but we manage to not fight them. Um, we get to the ship, we find a bunch of droids, and we end up fighting a Sith Lord inside the spaceship. And apparently there is a beacon inside the ship. So
Just
we,
powering it.
yeah. So we take the beacon. We also take the entire ship, because why not? Um, we find, yeah. There's besides the obvious fact that there was a Sith Lord inside the frickin' ship. There was a whole bunch of Sith stuff. We found the Sith logo, not logo, motto. Um, whole bunch of droids. Um, and then at this point, we decide that we are going to finally help Adelon with his lair situation. Um, Evelyn gets visited by Saldrak, a elf who says that we will be working together on a future job. He's going to need us at the coast, but we'll go on ahead to do some scouting while we finish up our business here. Um, After finishing preparations, Adelon transforms and flies us over to his lair. But on the way there, we get attacked because we're riding a freaking dragon, and apparently all dragons are evil. So we get downed. We meet Gunhild, the lead glassblade of Orlus, or senior glassblade, which is basically the town guard. Orlus is one of the outer cities in the vicinity of Uthadern. Um, After convincing her that we mean no harm, we are allowed into town. We have to help Adelon because he got shot in the leg. Um, let's see. We get his leg fixed. We meet Thara, who will be important later. She's a cleric. Um, yes, it is at this point that Cassian slips up and he finally lets everyone know about his deal with his patrons. Thara finds out and she knows a whole lot about the patrons and gives us a whole lore drop. Basically, Cassian's patrons are super bad news, and selling his soul was not a good idea. Blah blah blah. We don't kick him out because that would be a feels bad moment, but we basically don't trust him anymore. Um, Evelyn takes over as leader of the party. We confiscate his swords. Um, yeah. Gunhild tells us that the evil dragon that took over Adelon's lair, whose name is Geladon, has been amassing an army. Um, Ice giants and a bunch of other stuff. And there are apparently zombies too, which, of course, because there are always zombies. Um, a bunch of other outer cities have also been attacked. Um, and she's worried that her town will be next. We say we'll help defend. Um, and since this army that is like going around and attacking stuff is tied to the dragon, and the dragon is what we're sort of dealing with. Um, we think that this is basically two birds with one stone. If we help you defend your town, then we can uh, whittle down the forces when we eventually get to Geladon. Um, the ice giant attacks along with a whole bunch of zombies. Cassian royally screws up and sets the city wall on fire to try and keep the zombies away, but the fire spreads and we have no plan to stop the fires. So we defeat the giant and all of the zombies, but the entire city goes up in flames. He gets scarred for life. Um, doesn't take it well. Marcus tries to cheer him up, of all people, which doesn't exactly work. Um, we decide to evacuate everyone over to Uthadern, and we get to Uthadern. Um, so at Uthadern, we decide that because of that battle, um, it would be wise of us to get help in fighting Geladon, because Geladon still has an entire army. But in order to do that, we have to convince Uthadern to help us. Gunhild informs us that um, Uthadern is kind of in a state of chaos right now. Uh,
King.
the king has apparently been turned into a vampire. Hasn't been seen in a couple weeks, and I think they were also having undead problems, or people were going missing.
Yeah, people were going
People
missing,
were going
or
missing.
their graves were being robbed.
Yes, grave robbing was happening. So of course we assume it's got to be zombies, more vampire stuff, and we figure that if we are going to get help from Uthadern, then we are going to have to either help the king or figure out what this grave robbing incident is. Um, so King Imathan Talviel, the Elven King of Uthadern, has come down with vampire illness. Um,
Oh, you guys meet an archmage here.
yes, we do. Um, while gathering info, we meet one of Cassian's friends, Kada, who helps Cassian multi-class into Bard. Um, she is also apparently a blood hunter, and finally a lichen blood hunter. Rex recognizes her scent, and they discuss blood hunter stuff.
Why did Ron get muted suddenly?
Um, hello.
Hello? You just got muted suddenly.
Oh, I don't know. Um, so she informs him about uh, the Ravenholt tribe, which is the orc tribe in the Ghostlands, and then the tribe that she is from, which is the Ravenheart tribe. Um,
I am a very creative DM with names, clearly.
yes, very. Um, we've also found out that the captain of the barracks, the Glassblades, has uh, something was up with him, and so we went to go investigate. And it turns out that he had,
He's the one who went missing.
yes, he went missing, and so our first thing was gonna be to go investigate there. Um, but then he got levitated and turned into a giant spider, a drider. Um, and some guards who were looking super suspicious, and so they like ran away as soon as he turned into a spider instead of like staying to help calm the crowd down. So part of us fought off the Drider captain, and part of us gave chase. And it's a good thing we did because apparently they had Sith lightsabers.
Although
Um,
you guys got in trouble for attacking guards.
yes, we did, but this is fine. It ended up working out. The guards are apparently part of the Tumblecarp family, who specialize in finding and restoring artifacts. So it turns out that they uh, take a very invested interest in Sith and Jedi
They do a lot of
artifacts.
excavations and
Yeah.
stuff.
Um, um, and oh yes. Also, after the Drider fight, we discover
I
that
just where you lost your arm.
yes. So Morgan was watching, and we happened to notice her. She transformed into a bat and tried to get away. We gave chase, and um, she used a portal to get away. Very similar portal to the stuff that the portals where the zombies come through. Um, in a uh, not very well thought through moment, Rux decided to follow her through the portal, and he ended up on her spaceship. Um, Very similar to the one that we found underground in the caves on the outskirts of Rosona, except this one was functioning. Um, very very tense RP. Um, she there were a lot of things that she wanted in exchange for letting him go, including vamping him, or trying to get a beacon, among other things. But Rux managed to convince her to let him go by giving her some of his blood because he was a blood hunter, and they eventually agreed on taking his arm. And so he lost an arm and was portaled back to the to the rooftop. Um, his uh, one moment of
Recklessness,
recklessness. Yes.
which I loved as the DM. I was very
Um,
glad did something like that.
the party was very all over the place, but Rux and Evelyn are like the two characters who keep things pretty low key. That was Rux's one high key moment. It did turn out okay. Um, Rux did have disadvantage on all of his attacks for a while, but whatever.
Including the dragon fight.
Yeah, which was great. Um,
And also cleric your cleric was going through some issues.
yes. Um, we do some research on the tumble carves. We find Sebastian, who is like the older brother, I believe,
He's like the head of the
the
house.
the head of the family. He's the one who deals with all of uh, the like excavating and all that stuff. Um, we tried to figure out why his guards had like Sith lightsabers, um, and we showed some of our own lightsabers and Marcus tried to sell him some. He got very interested in the because when we were attacked by the Jedi way back when we were on the way to Sadash, we looted a bunch of Jedi lightsabers off of them, and he was very interested in those because all he had were Sith lightsabers. But Marcus decided not to sell them. He thought it was very um, he wasn't pleased with the fact that this guy was just toying around with Sith technology and not knowing like how bad the Sith were and all that stuff. Um, but we asked about Calum Tumble Carve, who is he is also one of the head glass blades in of Uthadern. Um, it turns out that the guards from the captain event that we had witnessed the previous morning were Calum's men. And while Sebastian does all of the excavating and the research, he just gives all of the whatever he finds over to Calum to do with as he wishes. So that's why Calum has and his men have a bunch of lightsabers. Um, as we head back from Sebastian's mansion, we find out that the palace is under attack. There is a lowly vampire and a bunch of undead assaulting the palace. Not a named vampire, not Morgan or anything, but a vampire nonetheless. We bust into the throne room and save the queen, although she does die, but we resurrect her successfully. This is where is her name? This is Simone Frunast, the dwarven queen. And we also meet Alessandra Talviel, who is the queen consort, the wife of the Elven King. Um, we talk about what happened to the king, and it is here that we meet the Archmage of Civil something or another.
Diplomatic Union, I think.
Yes.
Well, you guys had seen him before. He was like going to the palace, and you guys avoided him.
Yes. We had known that he was there, but we didn't want to deal with him because one, he was an Empire guy. Two, Cerberus Assembly. Um, it turns out that the Empire is trying to get Uthadern on their side, and not exactly great. But we also don't want to mess with an Archmage at the moment. Um, we confirm that the king is indeed a vampire, um, and the Archmage suggests that he has a ritual that can cure him, and he would be willing to do so if they would what's the word?
Agreed to become their allies,
Yeah,
essentially, initiate
entertain
the
entertain the idea of alliance.
be more open to it.
Yeah. Um, and we sort of interject, saying that we can also help, but there are also things that we need done. And so we agree to work together for the time being. Luckily, this archmage is rather agreeable. Um, we find out the items that we need, and he will take care of the research. So we look for the stuff that we need. Um, try and do some vampire research because we will, in fact, need the blood of the vampire who infected the king in the first place. Um, we talk to Calum. Yes, we ask Sebastian about Calum. We are suspicious of Calum and his intentions, and whether or not he is loyal to the crown. Um, because it's his people on guard when the attack on the palace happened. Um, there is a there the it turns out that the guard that let the attack happen was one of Calum's men. Um, we sort of sit in on the interrogation, and it turns out that he has no recollection whatsoever of what happened. We figure, since we're so used to being charmed by Morgan, that the guard must have been charmed. We bring up the idea of vampires. Calum seems to brush it off, but we push the idea. And as we leave Calum's house, um, yeah, actually backtracking a little bit. So we kill the vampire who attacked the queen, and Calum is assuming that this vampire is the only vampire in town. But we obviously know that more vampires exist. And he continues brushing off our suggestions. Um, but as we leave his house, um, we notice that there are some orcs in his house, and they are the same orcs that attacked Orlis when we had first met Gunhild. So we are now incredibly suspicious about him. Um, we ask if we can come back the next day to uh, interrogate the guard again. Um, and
And he
three.
tries to trap you in the house and kill you, but
Yeah.
you guys take care of that pretty easily.
Um, he basically sends us into the basement and locks us in with a whole bunch of orcs. but it backfires because we slaughter all of them. And we work our way through um, up through the basement, and we find a secret lab. We find like a portal. There's
Super cool stuff that you guys have never seen before in your
yeah,
life.
there's a whole bunch of stuff.
There's like
Um,
holographic screens and
yeah, it's ridiculous all of the advanced technology, and we eventually find out that there's this portal, and there are there is a Lord Harkin that is ready to transport things through the portal, and we know that portals are bad news. This does not look like a zombie portal, but it's a very fancy futuristic portal, and we don't want things to go through it. So we sabotage some stuff, knock out some scientists. We also manage to loot some stuff. We rescue a wolf pup and a dragon egg, which we assume might have come from Adelon's lair. A whole bunch of magic items, um, and we finally get to the room with the giant portal in it, and of course it activates, and a bunch of people come through. Lord Harkin, it turns out, is this demon with demon Sith Lord guy. Uh, more
like a mouth that goes all the
lightsabers.
way down his torso.
Yeah, and he has stormtrooper entourage. Um,
And I
we
think Petra assumes that they're like twins
yeah,
after you guys kill them.
um, but we decide to basically attack all of the scientists that are working the portal. Um, we fight off Lord Harkin uh, and almost defeat him, but he flees through the portal. We learning from Rux's experience with Morgan's portal, we decide not to give chase, but Petra does send her familiar through to see what she can see. And apparently, this portal heads straight to a star destroyer up in outer space. And there are like tons of stormtroopers and an army, and Lord Harkin is being brought away to uh,
The med bay.
recuperate. Yeah, medbay. Um, so basically, we find out that Sith are trying to transport an army onto Wildmount. Among all of the supplies there, um, we do manage to uh, find some vials of blood that include the blood of the vampire that infected the king. And so using that to scry, we figure out the name of the vampire mistress, Karand,
Yeah.
um, a tiefling woman. Um, she we don't exactly figure out her location. She seems to be preoccupied with something, preparing a city somewhere. But we do confirm that the blood that we find is hers, and that she is the mastermind behind everything. So with that collected, we now have all of the materials to complete the ritual. We head back to the king. Um, doo-doo-doo. Oh no, not yet. Um, we we took one of the scientists from Calem's basement prisoner. Um, we interrogate her,
This
and
poor woman.
yes, this poor scientist. Um, but we try and figure out their connection to the Sith and the vampires, and of course, all of Calem's people were just following orders, doing research and stuff. Um, and Caleb has gone missing. Um, but we decide to continue on with our ritual. Um, we Oh yeah, we speak with Dead with some of the people that we killed to try and get more information. Uh, Vampires. Oh yeah, so the ice giants lent the vampires to Calum to protect the city basically from a bunch of stuff. And that is when we find out that the name of the vampire is Korand. Um, so yes, we figure out that she is the vampire we are looking for, and we head to the castle to do the ritual. And the castle is under attack again by even more zombies. There's a portal, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. All the tumble carve guards are definitely evil. Um, we fight off some zombies and some guards, and Calum is in the king's chambers waiting to attack us, along with a vampire.
Invisible, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got all this magic that he shouldn't have, but we fight him off. Evelyn dies, but Petra is able to resurrect her. Um,
Cassian sleeps in the king's bed
yes. Um, Cassian almost dies, so he just goes to pass out on the king's bed.
while the king's body is still on the
Yeah.
bed.
Um, so the ritual is a success. We um, unvamp the king, which involves basically killing him and then resurrecting him. He thanks us for the help. We appeal to him for help with fighting Geladon and his army, or her army.
Yeah, her army.
Um, he does agree. We are celebrated as heroes of Uthadern. We are given. Actually, wait, was that before or after the
It was before the dragon.
before the dragon? Yes, for rescuing the king. A huge party is thrown. Um, Cassian and Petra bond over weed.
And they get tattoos.
Yeah, they get tattoos.
Petra gets an embarrassing tattoo.
Yes. Cassian has a kid.
Cassian hooks up with one guard lady.
Yeah, he has some sexy times. Um, Everyone gets drunk. It's all great. And then we head off to Adelon's lair. Um, it's basically like a two-pronged attack. Um, so Adelon, like the party flies in on Adelon, and we attack first, try and scatter the forces, and then the army comes in from behind as we like sneak into the lair, which we do. Um, we get past some wyverns and some yetis.
Who
We
are
meet,
trying to eat a kobold.
yeah, we there's a whole bunch of dead kobolds. We meet one surviving kobold that we rescue and tell him to get out of here because stuff's gonna happen. We finally get to Geladon. We have our obligatory ancient dragon fight. We just it's rough. There's a lot of movement because of flying. A lot, only one dragon breath somehow, but we
Yeah, I
do.
rolled horribly on the rerolls.
Yes, we do manage to defeat Geladon. We get a whole bunch of loot. Cassian gets a new magical weapon. Um, we harvest Geladon for parts. Um, and we make our way back to Uthadern. We manage to we bribe our way to Uthadern's teleportation circle, get access to it, And then we teleport back home to Rasona. Um, Rux tries to So using his newfound knowledge of the fact that the orc tribe in the Ghostlands is a blood hunter tribe, he tries to talk with them about stuff, ask for guidance. He befriends the chief of the tribe, Turok, who is a blood cleric. They seem to know some stuff about the Sith and about uh, what they do. He talks about the Raven Queen and expresses his concern that the Empire is experimenting with blood magic. He thinks this might be fate because it turns out that Rux's powers, his lightning fists and his fox transformation, are actually the same powers of the chieftain of the Ravenheart tribe. Um, So while that is pretty nifty, it is worrisome because the that that chieftain has also gone missing recently. So he asks
I
if
think I think
uh,
this is where you also learn about the flying city stuff.
yes, learn about the Sith capital. Um, and then Rux gets his arm back by basically taking Geladon's arm that we took off of him and just
And her
gluing.
heart.
Yes. So at this point, Rux undergoes surgery.
Awful transformation surgery where he
Yeah,
gets his heart taken out, replaced with the dragon's,
yeah. So
and then
Rux,
he gets a dragon arm grafted onto his
Rux,
body.
yeah, Rux dies. Um, becomes part dragon. Um, okay, and then yeah, I actually died during that ritual. So,
Yeah.
but I was brought back by the power of the dragon heart. Um, so he has a huge dragon arm and is all ice aspected now.
He wears Under Armour tights to cover his dragon arm
Yeah.
up.
We He gets back and shares the information about the Sith. We get our next job, which is on the coast. We have two main things to do. We need to. The dynasty wants to hire the
Revelry.
revelry, the pirates from Darktow, um, in order to work with them and help attack the Empire. And we are also to discover the new leader of the mercenary group, the Golden Chain, and assassinate him. This is the job that Seldrak had come to visit Evelyn about earlier. He went ahead to scout out the Golden Chain. We travel to the coast. Oh, yes, we hire a bunch of bodyguards for our house because we are worried that Evelyn's good friend Lisa is going to try and break into her warehouse or her workplace again. Workshop, that's the word.
I'm pretty sure this is when Petra and Liana get together.
Uh, yes, they finally become official. There was baking. We realized that Marcus really enjoys sandwiches. Um,
And Liana immediately gets sent off to war with Cassian's dad.
yes. Um, we are introduced sort of to Evelyn's Liana with an E. It turns out Evelyn and Petra both coincidentally have NPCs named Liana. Um, this Liana is Evelyn's wife, ish, fiance. Um, and at this point she's kind of starting to question how um, how long she's gonna stay with the group. Okay. Yes, we get our job. Um, yes, Marcus. So Marcus hears that Kayla is coming along with a bunch of Empire people to attack the Ashgard garrison, and so we tip off the queen, and
And then you tell them to try to take Kayla
yeah, we tell
alive.
them to capture Kayla and Leon alive because we
Ask
need
her
them.
questions
Um,
to interrogate them.
yes, and Liana, uh, Petra's Liana, along with Malagar, Cassian's father, gets sent off to the garrison to lead the counterattack. We sneak into the Empire. Um,
Essek teleports you to Zadash
yeah,
and like an inn.
Essek teleports us there. We travel to a couple different cities, but not much happens.
You can probably sum up the coast stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah. Basically, we get all the way to Nicodranus fine. Um, we hire someone to. We hire Sarah,
Yeah,
a like pirate hunter, to bring
down.
us to Broken Bank. We discover Fengar Dracus, one of the pirate lords. He's wanted. Um,
You guys get attacked by cultists of Cassian's ex-patrons.
yes, Cassian's patrons are now mad at him because he attempted because he has a new weapon now.
He
He
lost his swords.
yeah he lost. So Thara, the cleric who told us everything about the patrons, took the swords away, and she is planning to take them to Vasselheim. Cassian's patrons are obviously not happy with that, so we get attacked by a whole bunch of Sahagin.
You had also learned that Seldrak had gone missing, or like his ship had sunk
Yes.
in the sea.
Um,
So you gather that they might be the cause. So you guys go to this little town, the Arathator cult town.
yes. Um, Cassian's plus 13 to charisma
Gets them all the
somehow
way to the bathroom
gets us
alone.
all the way to the boss without fighting any of the people there. Um, we get a tour of the place. We join youth group where we talk about how great the ice patron is. Um, of course, Cassian lets something slip up that he found the swords at some point. The hag, who is the leader of the cultist group, um, sees through our lies and attacks us, but we defeat her and escape. Sharktopus gives chase and well, almost TPKs us. It,
Tells you guys to sacrifice Cassian and they'll let
yeah,
you go.
they want Cassian, so Petra stealths the teleport stone over to him, and we let him take him. Um, he gets dragged underwater, and he is about to be given over to the ice patron, and he teleports back home. So now the party is like super split,
Oh, and then Marcus dies
and
from
then
the effects of Craven Edge.
yes, that fight went very good for Marcus, but also very bad for Marcus.
Yeah, I rolled horribly on the strength sapping thing. So
Yeah, so Craven Edge awakens. Um, Marcus dies in his sleep because he fails his con save. Meanwhile, Cassian is at
Cassian's
home by
trying to find his
himself.
way back to the party.
Yeah, he has to get back to us somehow. So he teleports over to the garrison
Yeah,
and tries to get
Liana to
Liana to
teleport.
teleport him to Broken Bank. We send word that Marcus died, so the dynasty sends over Lucia Thalis, who is our Marcus replacement. This is Liana's older sister.
She's older, but she's also younger
Older,
because
younger sister? Yes.
she's in her
So
second life.
she's in her second life. So in terms of years, she is older, but in terms of body, she is younger. Um, so Liana,
Or the garrison comes under attack.
yes.
You guys
Lorenzo is there.
capture Lorenzo's there. You guys kill, or they kill Leon. You guys
Yes.
capture Kayla. Liana loses an eye.
She teleports Cassian,
Yeah, you guys teleport
Liana, and
to
Kayla, or
Broken
Lucia,
Bank.
to Broken Bank. Um,
You have a funeral for Marcus.
yes. Marcus is buried. Um, Liana goes back. Kayla joins us.
You guys
Um,
decide to lie to the queen about Kayla
yes. So we're gonna have to deal with that in the very near future.
today.
Probably not today. Um, we set off from Broken Bank, convince Sarah to take us to Darktoe, or as close to Darktoe as she's willing to. We get attacked by a bunch of harpies. Um,
That kidnap a bunch of your crew members, and then they take you
yes,
to this weird mist island that has an undead plague.
yes, more undead because undead seem to follow us everywhere. So Mistress
You guys are followed by
Coran,
undead.
yeah, the vampire who vamped the Luthadern king, was apparently here too. Let loose
Sometime in
some
the
sort of
past.
fungus thing. Um,
And you guys learned that this was apparently Marcus's old
yeah,
hometown.
home island. His parents were killed by pirates, sadly. Um,
You guys cleanse the place of the undead plague, but Cassian dies in the process.
yes, Cassian dies to the harpy queen.
And it's impossible to bring his soul back because his patrons have it,
Yes,
although Pulpa tries. And
we do try, but it fails. So Cassian's dead for good. We bury him here.
being tortured eternally.
Yep, eternal hellfire. Um,
You guys come across a Concord ship fighting one of the revelry ships, actually Fengar ship. You guys intervene. You guys meet Yevalier, the new character, and you give
yes.
chase to Fengar's ship, and then after some combat, you decide to try to convince them to take you to Darktoe in exchange for their lives. Like you guys won't kill them or turn them in if they take you to Darktoe. So
Which
you guys
they
go to
agree to.
Darktoe. You meet the Plank King. You give him the job offer. They accept. You guys see a bunch of Sith on the island. It's
Stormtroopers
just great.
everywhere.
A lot of stormtroopers. You guys meet a woman named Lysandra, who appears to be sort of in charge around here. But yeah, apparently they're gonna make Darktoe fly and immediately fly over to Port Damali and destroy it.
Yup.
You're asked if you want to aid in the ritual that will help the island fly, but you guys decline. Uh, so you guys don't know what really goes on there. But the island flies. It goes to Port Damali. Um, you guys see like this weird red energy all over the island the entire time you're there, and then you see them shoot God basically. uh, the
Attack and
pirates
dethrone.
slash the Sith kill Bahamut somehow, um, and then they basically raise an undead horde on the Menagerie Coast. uh, and you guys are successful? Question mark in your
Question
job.
mark. Yeah.
You guys kill the Golden Chain with the help of one of the pirate lords, Sagape. Yeah, you guys they kill a god, they mind control question mark a bunch of metallic dragons, and they raise an undead horde, and you guys are currently on an airship
Yeah.
where you fly away from the burning city. Then you have a wedding because you meet Evelyn's wife.
This is fine. And that's basically it. Campaign in a nutshell.
Two hours.
That took
Only
an
took 2
hour
hours.
longer than it should have.
The way Ron has been talking for 2 hours, and we're just starting the session now.
Yep. This
Still
is
has to talk about